Hi, Dr. Thompson. Thank you so much for joining us in MediRoots to help medical students and junior doctors decide what the specialty is right for them. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background?
Thank you very much for inviting me, Yaz. Yes, I'm Alistair Thompson. I'm a consultant paediatrician in a district general hospital in Leighton in Crewe. I'm also an associate postgraduate dean working across health education England for the Northwest. And the third strand of my current job is that I'm chair of the MindEd Consortium, which is a consortium hosted by the Royal College of Psychiatrists and which has got more than 500 e-learning modules developed over the last years about children's mental health.
So could you please tell us a bit about your chosen specialty and what does it involve?
So I'm a consultant paediatrician as a generalist. About 50% of the consultants in the UK in paediatrics are general paediatricians and the others are subspecialists, the latter mainly working in teaching hospitals. So as a general paediatrician, I look after children of all age groups. That means from being born preterm down to maybe 23 or 24 weeks gestation up to 18 years of age. So there's a huge variety of work and a great deal to learn, a great deal of different skills to apply to that population. It's a very invigorating and challenging career to have done, and I'm delighted to have managed to accomplish my way through it.
That's great. So could you please tell us, as a pediatrician, as a pediatric consultant, what do you do on a daily basis, like as from the moment you start your day till the time that you go home, and what sort of lifestyle can you have as a pediatric consultant?
Okay, well, and when I started here in Crewe, life was very busy indeed. I was the third consultant added to a team of two, but I'm pleased to relate that things have changed now. As in most district general hospitals, there have been many more consultant paediatricians recruited over the years, and I'm now one of a team of 12. Because I came off the on-call rota a few years ago, owing to my age, the consultants who are left are the ones who are doing the on-call, and they're on-call on about a 1 in 8 or 1 in 9 basis. They work a hot week, so that they do 1 week in 8 or 9 in general paediatrics on the ward, looking after patients from Thursday until the next Wednesday, obviously working in shifts, so they're not present the whole time. And then the week after that, they do another hot week on the neonatal intensive care unit, which takes babies down to 27 weeks and also stabilizes any smaller babies for transfer to the neonatal intensive care units and the tertiary centres if they're born here. And I work mostly in outpatients. My consultant colleagues who are on the hot week system work in outpatients on the weeks when they're not doing their hot weeks. And so I do some duties on the wards during the daytime, but not on call or at nights and weekends any longer. And outpatients, again, a wide variety of general paediatric work. And we see babies, small children, older children, adolescents, children, young people. And of course, we see them with their families, often a mother or a father, or sometimes mother, father, and grandmother. So you can get an extended family in the consulting room. And we also, in our district hospital, have visiting consultants from Liverpool and Manchester and Stoke and Oswestry who come here to do paediatric subspecialty work. And we sit in with most of them so that we provide continuity of care, we provide good liaison with the consultants in the subspecialty clinics, and they liaise with us, and I think it works better for the patient in that way. It also means that patients don't have to go to the tertiary centres. So, and that's a very wide range of roles that one may go through in one's career. And of course there are other responsibilities as well. There's somebody who's responsible for audit within the department. One of my consultant colleagues is the clinical lead. Another of my colleagues has moved up into medical management as an associate medical director. I've had a long interest in medical education that developed when I first trained in the south of England and carried on when I came to Alder Hey as a senior registrar, when senior registrar posts still existed. and I developed that up as a consultant, and I've had a number of senior roles in organisations, including in my own Medical Royal College, and it's been possible to do that and develop a portfolio career as I've gone along in paediatrics, despite the fairly heavy commitment of the role in the early years. So medical education is something that paediatricians are particularly involved in. Perhaps all medical specialties and surgical specialties are, of course, but I think paediatricians often lead the way because of the importance of medical education to the early years in paediatrics. It's not given very much prominence in medical school, so it's very important that paediatricians starting in training get well supervised and learn all about the new diseases and conditions and management that is necessary to become a paediatrician.
Thank you. So what are the benefits to your specialty in terms of work-life balance, job opportunities, flexibility? Would you say in the next 10, 20 years, 30 years, we're still going to have paediatricians?
Well, I think that's a good question, and the last phrases especially are important. I think people will put off paediatrics sometimes in the era in which I trained because the consultant posts were so notoriously onerous. In fact, the first consultant paediatrician in Leighton Hospital in Crewe started only in 1972, and it wasn't until the early 1980s that there was a second consultant in paediatrics, and as I say, I joined as a number 3. And the number of consultants has changed. A number of my colleagues work flexibly. It's a very family-friendly specialty, so it attracts a lot of women into the specialty, and the flexibility of the job is therefore a given. So I think one does need to look a few years ahead. For the trainees now, are they going to be joining a team of 8 or 9 in the years when they become consultants? There's probably going to be more consultants still, and there may be a change in the work and the workload and the detail of what one can do and the way in which we can treat conditions. But I still think it's a family-friendly specialty, and one can develop a very good work-life balance. I've got children, and they still speak to me.
That's great. So what are the drawbacks, in your opinion, to this career path?
It's difficult to find drawbacks to a career that's been so invigorating, that there's been so much to do. I was involved in research in my early years as a consultant, taking part at a local and then a national, and then surprisingly at an international level, and that was to look into meningococcal disease. And I suppose one of the drawbacks is that when one is on call, one has to be there within 10 minutes. If a child with sepsis or meningococcal disease comes in the door, or a baby is born in the neonatal unit who needs resuscitation, or a small baby needs care at birth, and one's got to be there very quickly, and very often one's going to be rolling one's sleeves up. It's not going to be the junior staff who are going to be leading in that. One has to be up to date and capable of a wide range of resuscitation and maintenance and management procedures. So you might say that's a disadvantage. Of course, many people treat that as a challenge and are very happy to be taking that on. And I think that one also needs to say that what I've described as the work of a district general hospital paediatrician isn't where all paediatricians end up. I've said 50% become specialists in teaching hospitals, and there's a wide variety of specialisms. And so that one might be in a subspecialty where there isn't a need for so much on-call work, there isn't the pressure of work, and one ends up needing to learn maybe a wide variety of new techniques, but not to have them on display at midnight.
Fantastic. So it is quite a hands-on specialty. So if people are interested in jobs that you won't be bored once you're a consultant, paediatrics is one of them, because you're always on call. When you're on call, you have to be there, so you do have a bit of adrenaline in your blood all the time.
Yeah, you need some ability to generate adrenaline, but I think you also need some other skills as well. As I said, you may have a child of whatever age in the consulting room, and a parent and maybe a grandparent. So you need to have a wide range of communication skills with the children and up to adolescents and up to parents and even to grandparents. You may be able to handle a crowd in the consulting room, maybe all asking slightly different questions in slightly different ways and meaning slightly different things. So that's worth looking at as something that one can deal with and one can learn about. I think it's also important, therefore, to have a degree of extroversion, though I've been talking to you at the start of my career, you might not have thought of me as such an extrovert then as you might now. So it's skills that one can learn. And I think also one needs to be interested in medical education. One's going to be supervising a lot of junior staff. I said we've got 11 consultants in our department. At the moment, we've got 18 members of junior staff because we've got foundation doctors, we've got junior paediatric trainees, we've got GP trainees, and we've got some higher paediatric trainees. So one needs to be able to supervise and educate at all those levels and be able to advise, and we're all going to be educational supervisors and have recognition as trainers with the skills that needs in pastoral care and identifying doctors who need extra support. So there's a very wide range of requirements, but then not beyond the wit of any doctor who comes into choosing a medical specialty or surgical specialty.
So you have mentioned a bit about personality traits, that what sort of skills we need to have to be good at this job. What exactly trainers are looking in, like when they're assessing a pediatric trainee?
Well, I think there's a wide range of things, and one of the sources that I think is very useful is the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health website. They've got sections on recruitment, they've got talking heads and from different specialties in paediatrics, talking about what attracted them into paediatrics, and I do think that they're worth looking at. I also think that anybody looking at applying to paediatrics needs to do, as with any specialty, needs to do a bit of research, talking to a specialty trainee at year one, and a specialty trainee a bit further up in the ST 4, 5, 6 range, and then a consultant, maybe a consultant general paediatrician, but also if there's somebody who's in a subspecialty in paediatrics that the trainee is thinking of, they might go and speak to them about what they do and what their lifestyle is. And the answers they get back are pretty important, just like they are in any specialty. In paediatrics, the first 2 or 3 years are almost exclusively dealing with emergencies on the ward or in the neonatal unit, or in some posts exclusively in the neonatal unit, and in yet other posts dealing with community paediatrics, child protection, children with behavioural and developmental problems. So, and talking about what junior trainees do is important. By the time you get to talking to the consultants about what they do, you'd hear from me as a general paediatrician that I spend most of my time in outpatients, even when I was on the hot week rota, and several of the weeks were spent in outpatients, and only one hot week in 7 or 8, and only one neonatal hot week in 7 or 8. And a fair amount of administration bundled in, as well as all my other activities in medical education. So I think it's important to figure out what people do. And if you have that adrenaline and want to be an adrenaline junkie all your life, you can choose things in paediatrics, ambulatory paediatrics, paediatric intensive care that will keep you going at 100 mph for the whole of your career. On the other hand, if you do think that it's exciting in the first years, but you might want something a little bit calmer, though still exciting, during the further years of your career, a general paediatrician post might be ideal, but there may be subspecialty posts that would suit even better.
Oh, that's great. Dr. Thompson, do you know how to apply for this specialty, or things have changed since you applied?
Well, things have changed a great deal since I applied, but the best advice there is from the RCPCH website, and there's all sorts of things that will help to choose how to apply, where to apply, and what to do.
That's great. So If you were a medical student or a junior doctor right now, would you decide the same career path, or would you have taken a different journey?
No, I took a slightly tortuous journey before I decided finally on paediatrics, but I'm really glad that I decided on paediatrics. It's been a fantastic career, and I'm still, toward the end of my career, massively enjoying it. So I would advise anybody to consider it. But it's not for everybody, and I do think that people need to recognise that there's a niche for nearly everyone in medicine and surgery, and the best time to start is to think about what one's future career might look like as a foundation doctor. In fact, it's part of the foundation program to consider what career choices there might be and have a discussion with one's educational supervisor about those. And I do think that after the first 6 months of a foundation program are pretty formative, but after the first 6 months, when the dust settles, getting to know what the options might be is worthwhile. And I try to ask my supervisees to think of a plan A and a plan B and maybe a plan C. It doesn't mean you're committed to any of those. I wasn't when I formulated my career intentions all those years ago, but it does mean that one's got something to work on and work towards, and don't just go for a plan A without some possible alternatives, because I think that it's useful to look into alternatives and then make the right choice. As I say, I don't want people to work in paediatrics if it doesn't suit them and they don't suit it. There will be something for them elsewhere that will be a better match. But I think paediatrics has been really good for me and many of my contemporaries and colleagues who followed us.
So you've already given us a lot of invaluable information about how to apply and what to do and why paediatrics is a good specialty. Do you have any final tips, like if you could just give us 2 or 3 for anyone who is applying for any specialty training, especially if they are interested in peds?
Well, I think if you've got a plan A and a plan B, you need to find out as much as you can about the career as it is at the moment, as much as you can from the Health Careers website and from the Royal College's websites, and about what the websites say about the future of the specialty, which way it's going. And many college websites have got plans for the future and how they see the specialty developing and how they see the work in the specialty developing, that are very valuable. But above all, go and speak to people in the specialty. Most doctors working in their specialties remain enthusiastic and keen and may indeed be trying to sell you the specialty. I think that there will be 1 or 2 who will bring out things that they see maybe as detriments, and it's useful to speak to them as well, just to consider their points of view. But in the end, you've got to make up your own mind what to apply to as a plan A, plan B, plan C, and how you're going to present yourself, because it's usually possible to predict some of the questions that you can come across in interviews, if your specialty does an interview, or in the questions that you're asked to answer, and relate them back to what doctors are doing in the foundation program as part of the curriculum. And the better the portfolio that a doctor keeps in the foundation years, the better the chance of getting the specialty and the location of your final choice. So good luck.